to today's Ward Forum meeting. Before we begin, I have to advise everyone that the meeting will be recorded and that the recording of the meeting will be available for future record via the Council's YouTube channel. Unfortunately, on the agenda, we had Councillor Liz Clements joining us, but unfortunately, she won't be joining us today due to cabinet responsibilities. So we're joined by some council officers, Andy Laurent, who will be covering her, and also we're joined by Jonathan from the Bozer Green West Midlands Police Community Team. So without further ado, I think we'll introduce you to Andy, if you can provide an update in relation to the cycling and other highways issues. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. Morning, everyone. My name's Andy Middleton. I'm the lead officer for active travel at Birmingham City Council, so all of the active travel schemes in the transportation area. I'd also like to introduce my colleague, Laurent, who's the project manager for the A45 cycle scheme. So I'm just going to briefly just give an update on where we are with the programme for the project. And then I'll hand over to Laurent and he can provide an update on where we are with the design issues and just some of the timescales that we're looking now to proceed with the scheme. So the scheme has been some time in development. We are now at a stage where we've confirmed the design, and we've also in the last week got financial approvals to actually undertake the scheme on site. As you're aware, the council has dealing with the financial situation under the section 114 notice that it's issued, but just to reassure people that this scheme is funded from what's called a ring-fence grant. So the monies come from central government, and those monies, the budget is available to actually undertake this scheme and this scheme only. So the funding is there. In the last few weeks, we've just had to go through an additional approval process financially just to get approval to spend the funding for the scheme. But that approval has now been obtained. We've got all the business case approvals internally that we need. So we are good to go, and the next stage will be taking the scheme out to tender. And following that, once we've appointed a contractor, currently our programme is to start the scheme around about mid-March. So broadly in line with the timescales that we've communicated previously of early 2024. So really just positive news that the scheme is still going ahead, and we are looking to actually start to implement the scheme early in 2024. Laurent is a project manager, so he's got the detail of where the scheme stands from the design perspective. So probably what I'll do is, Laurent, I'll hand over to you, and if you just want to update everybody on where we are with the design of the scheme.
Thank you, Andy. Hello everyone. My name is Laurent Buissonade. As Andy introduced me, I'm the project manager for these schemes. So perhaps what I should do, I'll try and share on the screen a copy of the plan. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. So I suppose what I'll do, I'll go along. I'll start from the start of the route and to the end. Okay. So the aim of this project is to provide a cycle link along the what's called the A45 corridor, and it makes permanent and improve the cycle lane, the cycle route that was introduced in 2020 during pandemic, during COVID pandemic, and it was what we called it a pop-up cycle lane. So it was done of a sort of a temporary sort of nature with light segregation for the cycle lanes, which was done with the orange plastic bollards and a white line. The space on footways was shared with pedestrians and cyclists. So it was really done sort of to suit the emergencies of of the time to help obviously people moving about and encourage active travel along what the city sees as a key sort of a cycling corridor. As Andy mentioned, there is sort of obviously now grant funding to sort of improve this route. And what we're doing is that we actually replacing the cycle route with a more kind of robust sort of infrastructure. So the light segregation, which is made of bollards, etc., will be replaced by full curb separation. So cyclists will be separate from traffic by curb, where there was sort of shared space between cyclists and pedestrian. We will sort of widen the footways in location to ensure that there is a cycle track, so there's less mixing of footway with the pedestrians and cyclists, and also we'll be removing some of the sort of traffic management of the one-way system that wasn't really well supported along Byron Road, Bolton Road, sorry. And so that's sort of in I suppose in a nutshell the project. So I'll start from the beginning. Okay, so if you can see there if you can see my cursor here, you can see the mouse moving, Councillor.
Yeah, you can see it, Laurent.
Yeah. So basically the route starts on Bordesley Middleway, and it picks up the cycle route that starts on Trinity Road via Bradford Street. So we're picking up the link into from the city centre. Okay, so from that point, the cyclists will cross existing crossing on Bordesley Middleway, carry along Bordesley Middleway. I mean, this will be a shared space due to sort of the obviously the space constraints along the dual carriageway. Then we continue up to Bordesley Circus. Yeah, this sort of hamburger island, and then we'll turn into Smallest Highway and Bordesley Park Road. And at that location here, we will improve the crossing, and we'll turn it into what we call token crossing. So the shared space between cyclists and pedestrians. So there's a bit of widening and a little bit of changes to the signals. From then on, we then found ourselves onto so Bordesley Park Road by the entrance to the McDonald restaurant and the hotel. And at that point there, we've got a fully segregated cycle track and footway space for pedestrians. So pedestrians and cyclists are not mixed anymore. Okay, and we continue all the way up to the railway bridge. There is a bit of a pinch point there due to the obviously the space available with the bridge abutment. So there's a small amount of shared space here, and then we continue then from Smallest Highway back onto Bolton Road. Now on Bolton Road, the cycle lane is retained as a two-way. Okay, and as I said earlier, the orange plastic bollards that are currently in place will be replaced by the curb height sort of segregation. Okay, so there'll be a more robust segregation from cyclists and traffic. However, the the key change here on this section of road is the full removal of the section of one-way traffic that was introduced from round about Dixon Road all the way up to Van Close. So all this section will be returned to a two-way road. So that means we'll do away with the suppose the lengthy diversion along Van Close and all the sort of side roads to go back to Bolton Road. However, in order to achieve this, we've had to do some work at the junction of I'll zoom in a little bit here if I may. Some work at the junction of Bolton Road with Smallheath Bridge and Jenkins Streets. And what that means is that we will introduce signals on all arms of the junction. This allows to sort of free the space and remove some of the side constraints that we had in the past that contributed to introduce the one-way system. As part of this improvement at the junction, there will be a crossing facility for pedestrians. Okay, on all arms, and the cycle lane will continue across, carrying along a Smallheath Bridge junction, and there will be a set of separate set of traffic lights for the cyclists. So again, you know, the cyclists and the motor vehicles are not mixed together. Okay, so that was sort of one of the key change really at that location. Then so we carry on along onto Bolton Road up to the Keats Avenue. So what we're doing here, we're introducing a couple of speed cautions to sort of improve sort of safety on the corner as we come sort of along that bend, and then the cycle route, the two-way cycle route, then veers onto back onto Smallheath Highway, and then again here at present it is a shared space. So you know the cyclists and pedestrians sort of share quite a bit of a narrow footway here. So what we're doing here is that again we're going to widen into the grassed embankment here, to provide a separated a track and footway. Then now we're approaching to the Port's Corner roundabout. So if I go onto the other page, yeah, and we got the mosque on the opposite side. Now here, so cyclists and pedestrians are mixed together. They're sharing the footway. The reason here is that the space availability and the constraints of what we can do in terms of sort of widening the footway, but there should be sufficient space for pedestrians and cyclists to you know to share the footway. Okay, so we cross Golden Illock, and then we end up on Byron Road. Another key change here on Byron Road is that there's currently a cycle track on this side, but again, in response to sort of the public sort of feedback on previous consultation, we will do away with the cycle lane here, and pedestrian will cyclists will share the same space as traffic. And the reason for this is because this is a more sort of quieter sort of space, a more quieter sort of residential road. So we feel that it's safe that you know to have a shared environment between traffic and cycles. So the parking space here will not be removed. It'll stay as it was before. Okay. What we do though in terms of sort of safety is that there will be some double yellow lines around the bend here. So sort of away from, you know, sort of the parking on this sort of, you know, access to, you know, residential properties, but some double yellow lines here around the bend to improve safety and visibility for cyclists. Okay, and then at that point, we almost reaching the end of the route, where cyclists will cross, as they do normally, currently up onto Tennyson Road, and then again as the sort of current situation, the cyclists and pedestrians are sharing sort of the footway space here with pedestrians, and this is due again the lack of sort of space availability and trying to maintain you know, a parking space on Tennyson Road and maintain like a two-way flow of traffic. So that's it. So that's the end. That's the end of the route, and into the park. And Andy, I think maybe in future iterations there may be a further extension of the 45 cycle route, and if it happens, then it'll be picked up from that point. But as part of this project, this is where the route stops. So in terms of program, as Andy said, so we've got all our sort of internal approvals, and we shortly going to go to invite tenders for implementation of the works, which we're looking to start mid-March, and we're looking at a sort of 6 to 7 month sort of program. So try to finish around sort of September next year. I mean, obviously the work will be sort of carried out in phases, so there'll be sort of section that'll be sort of finished, and the work will probably move on, you know, along the route. And we will also be advertising the TRO, the traffic regulation orders, soon as well, to help us sort of implement the scheme. So there'll be sort of letters going out sort of to residents, explaining, you know, some of the TROs and the process. And it's mainly to do with the, you know, the double yellow lines that we're going to introduce, and etc. So that's it really. If there are any questions on the proposals that either myself or Andy can answer.
Yeah, thank you for the update. I think we're still seeing two of us. If you could exit off.
Ron, I think you just, yeah, that's it. You just need to take the plan.
Yeah.
That's.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, thank you. I'll just open the floor for any questions. If anyone has any questions, please raise your hand. I can see one hand. Saj.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. I'm Sajid. I'm also the chair of Smallheath Forum, which we cover Smallheath and part of Bordesley Green. First of all, I would like to ask, what is the actual cost of this project?
Okay. So the total cost of the project is 1.6 million. So that's including all the fees and construction costs and contingencies.
Okay. What my main concern is, we that patch from where you've said goes on to Tennyson Road. That comes under two wards. That comes under Raqeeb's ward and the ward for Smallheath. Now, the ward for Smallheath, where the Tennyson Road was, that was you had actually originally put cones there, then they were removed because the residents were not happy with it, so that was taken away. Now, the bit on Byron Road, I've gone there on several occasions. My colleagues have gone there. Raqeeb himself has gone there. In a whole day, you will find no more than 4 bikes, one bike at a time, 2 bikes maximum. Don't you think that that's realistically a waste of money when that is not being used properly? The other problem we've got there is parking issues from when the mosque and the football ground is on. Now, the bit where you've said, obviously, you're going to put 4-way traffic lights. If you go and stand there some days on a Friday and even on weekends, you cannot get a car over. Even with traffic lights, you're going to face problems. People cannot cross over. If you've got oncoming traffic, anyhow, as it is at the moment on Bolton Road, which I realistically, spending 1.3 or 1.4 million pound on that project for 4 bikes maximum in a day it doesn't justify it. And the other thing I'm going to say now is this should be consulted with the local residents, that you are putting this proposal forward as not saying we are going ahead with it. It needs to be consulted with the local councils and the local people in the area before it goes forward. Because when you actually stand there, you ask the residents there, they are already having problems of parking there on football day matches, normal day, but you've only got 4 bikes traveling, or you won't even find 4 bikes together traveling on that patch of track. Or the other alternative, if you've got that much money to waste, couldn't it have been kept on the highway when they were doing this highway work and just carried on down the highway rather than taking Bolton Road up?
So perhaps if I answer the bit about the funding, and then Laurent can come on to that particular location about the crossing, and also just give a little bit of information on the consultation that's taken place. So as far as the funding is concerned, as I said at the start of the meeting, it's a grant that we receive from central government, and it's ring fenced, and it's specifically for active travel for cycling infrastructure. So we can't spend it on any other activity or any other scheme other than putting cycle infrastructure, cycle lanes in. Just picking up your point about only 4 cyclists, this piece of work, actually, as Laurent said, is actually part of a longer route that we're proposing, which will actually connect Birmingham city centre up to the airport and other key centres along the Coventry Road. So what we found with schemes like the cycle routes that we've put in on the A38, for instance, on the Bristol Road, that actually once you put this type of infrastructure in, it encourages people to use their cycles more. So it is a little bit of chicken and egg insofar as we need to actually put this sort of quality infrastructure in to encourage cyclists to actually go out there and use it. But certainly in the long term, the idea is that we would have a cycle route between the city centre and Birmingham Airport and the NEC. And this is a key part of that. So I understand what you're saying about, at the moment, cycling numbers are quite low, but our experience is that when we actually put infrastructure like this in, it actually encourages more cycle use. Lauren, did you want to pick up the thing about the crossing point and just the consultation that's taken place?
Yes, I mean, I suppose we'd like to say that as part of the consultation exercise, some of the comments have been taken on board, from the residents, and some of the pushback, or also the lack of support that we received, on the scheme. So for instance, as I said, on Byron Road, it is a much quieter road, and the scheme had an impact on local parking, because there was sort of parking space that were taken by the scheme. So we changed that element of the scheme, so the parking is returned to what it was before, the introduction of the temporary measures. So we are giving back, some of the parking to locally to local residents. Okay. And as I said, at the minute we've got a lengthy diversion, due to the one-way traffic system on Bolton Road, and again that we received two petitions against this proposal. So again, we've listened to the comments that has been received, and improve the proposals, okay, to counter for that. Now at the junction, the signals will improve the movements at the junction to help sort of the traffic coming over from Smallheath Bridge, because at the minute the junction, the visibility was quite poor with the bridge abutments, the bridge walls, and it's forcing traffic to sort of edge over the cycle lane, the cycle track that's in place. So that there's a safety element of that that we're taking care in within those proposals, and we also providing a better facility for pedestrians, because at the minute there's no means of crossing sort of around the junction. So there is actually a better control form of crossings for all road users, really, whether cyclists, pedestrians, or cars. Okay.
Yes, Sajid, is that a historic hand, or did you have another question?
Now, I've got another question. Okay, obviously you've got football days. Have you taken football days into account, the amount of people that park on the bridge, on Bolton Road, and the roads around there? And not only that, when you've got the mosque, originally that area was allocated for football parking, overcrowding parking, and for the mosque when it's got Friday prayers or any functions like any deaths or anything like that at the Gungor Street Mosque. That was originally allocated for that. Also, the other question I'm going to ask is, have the councillors for Smallheath, Councillor Raqeeb and Councillor Bano, been consulted on this? Because part of the tennis road comes under their area. Am I right, Raqeeb?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, so they need to be consulted. And not only that, I've been there since you've bought this in since COVID. So it's taken 4 years to get 4 bikes on that road. You will not get 4 bikes together. I honestly think if you actually go and stand there in a weekday and see the amount of traffic that uses that road, it's going to become a nightmare. I can see. I mean, I'm in the property game. Not only that, I'm the chair of Smallheath Forum, and people have come to us and they've complained. Wouldn't it be possible if we could take this bike lane? Let's say if we carried on straight across down the highway other side, we've got green embankment there. If that was carried on up to the Golden Hill Road, and it can carry on down the highway, if it's going to be going straight up to the airport, if anybody wants to come off it, they can use that. We need Bolton Road really opened back for traffic. When you got football days, you need to come out. I'm back in a week. Raqeeb's available. If you want to come and meet there on a weekend, on a Friday, even after prayers, the amount of traffic you see there that are struggling with that bike lane at the moment, you've got that struggle. If you've got a car coming from the other side, but yet you said you're going to open the other side up as well, that's going to cause a nightmare there. And I'll leave it at that now. And I think we need to consult more on this before it's given the go-ahead. That's my opinion.
Yeah, just linking to that question, I did have a question regarding the width of the road. How will we return it back to 2 ways? Because currently the road is quite small for making it 2 ways again. Will the cycle lane be made smaller, or how will it work?
It's due to the sort of some of the build outs that around Jenkins Street and Bolton Road and Smallheath Bridge. So we will do away. Basically, the build outs are being removed, so we free some of the space that isn't there at the minute. So we sort of more basically we changing the curb line to create more space on the corner at the corner of the junction.
Is that just
If that
the
makes sense.
corner, or was it the whole road?
No, just at the pinch points on the bridge, because that's the key point there. There's a pinch point at that junction.
Even the Bolton road, when cars are parked on one side of the road does become quite tight to drive both ways. So
You can't get through.
initially, I think
Sorry.
Yeah.
initially I think there was a suggestion that the cycle lane would be made, the width would be decreased by half, so that the residents' cars can get through easier.
We're keeping the design within the you know, obviously the limits of the you know, the design standards of what is allowed. So we'll keep it to sort of the minimum width, so we can get, you know, two lanes of traffic and two cycle lanes. We need to have a minimum space, and we can achieve that minimum space on Bolton Road.
I mean, at the moment, we've already got problems. When you've got oncoming traffic from one side to the other side, they cannot get through level. If obviously you're going to get the two bikes lane going all the way, it's going to cause a lot of problem. When people park there on the side, you've got the doctor's surgery there. People overpark onto that. Then you've got the wedding function hall on the left-hand side. When you've got weddings on, you cannot get a car through if people are parked there. So if you've got oncoming traffic, you are going to struggle with people getting through. You can't get two-way traffic going through there. You cannot.
Mr. Hussain, don't forget we've got the school. We've got the school there as well. Don't forget that. That's a lot of kids and everything else. Safety as well.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I forgot about the school. You've got the school there. Parents picking their kids up, dropping them off. And obviously, when you've got a lot of traffic on the Coventry Road, because with the Coventry Road at that top end, they close that off on football days. So on football days, you closed off from Morrison's, you've got it closed off on the highway. So people use this diversion to come across there. So what's going to happen on football days when you've got the Coventry Road turned off, Garrison Lane turned off, closed off for a couple of hours while the football match is going on? Where is that traffic going to end up? That ends up all on Bolton Road. And that's just going to be a chock-a-block. You're not going to be able to get anybody through. It needs to be looked at in again. I'm sorry, but this is my opinion. It's a mess.
Definitely.
And it needs to be consulted with the local people, the local residents, the local businesses, before saying, okay, this money is ring spent, we're going to use it there. Yes, use it. I'm not saying that, but use it on the highway. You've already got the space on the highway. Continue on the highway, straight across up to Golden Hillock Road. If you need to carry on, go straight down to the Asda, down the highway.
Thank you, Sajid. Lauren, do you want to answer any of those questions?
The scheme has been designed, it's been sort of safety audited as well, and to sort of allow sort of two-way traffic of you know, vehicles and cyclists. And like I said, we've done sort of road safety audit to make sure that the proposals are safe and work and deliver what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, could everybody remove their hands if they don't have any other questions? I have another residence. If you have a question, you can ask. Go on. You can ask a question. You're unmuted.
If I could just add as well, I think just from the point of view of consultation, there is still a further consultation to be undertaken with the traffic regulation order. So there is an opportunity still for people to provide their comments and input into the scheme. But as Lauren has said, we have obviously we have taken on board the comments of people in previous consultations in developing the design.
Yeah, the resident with the hand raised, can you ask the question?
I think it's Basharat. If you just mention the name, that might help.
Yeah. I think he's gone off.
I think okay. Just one more thing, Councillor. Don't you think we should have another consultation? Everybody should be aware of this before going ahead with it. And obviously, the other two councillors should be made aware, Councillor Bono and Councillor Raqeeb.
Yeah, I just like to say, my name is Bashar. I live in Bordesley. I just want
You're breaking up. We can't hear you properly.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I just want to say, I agree to Mr. Hussain. All
You're breaking up. If you could message, because we can't hear you properly.
I think he's got some net issue.
Yeah, I think one of the questions I was messaged was that it's similar to how you've done the Tennyson Road. Could you not, because Bolton Road has a pavement on the side where the cycle lane is, could you not use that pavement shade alongside the pedestrians, because there's not many pedestrians using that cycle lane next to where the doctor's surgery is? I think that was his question. You're muted. Yeah, Laurent, you're muted.
Okay. Obviously, we are adhering to cycling design standards on, in delivering this scheme. It's called the LTN 120 for those who might have heard about it. But anyway, these are sort of national cycling standards that we are adhering to, and the grant funding that we've got to deliver this scheme is linked to these design standards, and to have them. Let me finish.
Sorry, we can't hear you. You'll have to just mute and message.
Point, I think whether I missed it or whether it's not mentioned in the cycle lane on Bolton presently. If you go in the busy time, we'll see many motorists. You see more cars driving in the cycle lane. Then you're gonna find cycles in the daytime. Okay, I'll send him a message.
Hey, Laurent, do you think if you continue, I think he'll message because we can't hear him properly?
Yes, so supposed to answer the point that you made. We adhere to design standard that requires us to provide a cycle facility of a certain standard, of a certain width, and quality that can accommodate, all sorts of cyclists, and ultimately provide a good environment for cyclists to cycle along. And the grant funding that we've got to deliver this project is linked to providing a project that will deliver on these cycling standards. And if we fail to sort of obviously deliver towards the standards, then that basically we haven't got the funding to deliver the project. So we can't really and we can't really put the cyclists on Bolton Road on the footway, because we will fall short of achieving the standards that we are trying to achieve. So the only way to provide a facility for cyclists is to introduce a two-way cycle lane to be within, the standards and the quality that we're trying to achieve as part of this project.
I think just to add to Laurent's point, just taking a step back from this scheme, what we are trying to do overall as part of the policy for transport in the cities is actually to encourage people to use their cars less and actually use other alternative forms of transport like cycling. And to do that, as I said before, what we need to do is encourage or provide the sort of infrastructure that we need, which encourages people to use cycling facilities. So it is very much sort of a long-term aspiration that we're trying to achieve here. And it's not just this section in Small Heath, it's actually looking at how we provide really good cycling facilities along the whole of the A45 to get people moving from sort of key areas where they go to work, they do business, they go for relaxation, go to schools, and the Coventry Road is a key route. So it's you know, you've got the city centre at one end, the airport and the NEC at the other, and lots of local centres. And if we can join all these places up with really good quality cycling infrastructure, then, you know, going back to the gentleman's point about only 4 people at the moment, that number will increase, and that is being proven from the schemes that we've already implemented. So as Lauren says, what we're trying to do is actually put really good quality infrastructure and safe infrastructure for cyclists as well. As you know, there have been you know, a number of serious accidents involving cyclists around the city centre. So that is what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it safe for cyclists to use and encourage people to use cycles.
Yeah, thank you for that. A resident has messaged asking a question saying that the Bristol Road cycle lane was similar to Bolton Road. It was segregated. That's been removed. Also, the one in Nechells. So they're saying, would it be possible to remove the bollards like they are currently and make it a more shared use? I know you mentioned that it's not possible, but that was the resident's question.
I wasn't aware that the Bristol Road cycle lane had been removed. We built that about 3 or 4 years ago, and the cycle lane that was implemented is still there. So, and it's proving to be, you know, very successful. Lots of people are using it more than previously when you know, before we implemented the scheme. So, you know, certainly, as I say, the infrastructure that we've put in, you know, people actually do use it.
Okay, does anyone else have any other questions for Andy or Laurent? Can you raise your hands? I don't think there's any more questions. Would it be possible to share those plans with me, Laurent? Just email them to me so I can just have a further look through them. I think thank you for providing the update today. Hopefully, like you're saying, we can get the scheme done as soon as possible because it has been a long delay. But I think Sajid's got a question. Sajid, go on. Before we're wrapping up.
Thank you for that. Sorry, I was just trying to get connected back. I think we just need to also speak with the other 2 councillors and have another meeting to discuss this. I understand you want a bike lane, you want to get, but it's the wrong location, because if you go and meet on site, you go on a Friday, you go on the weekdays, you will see how bad the traffic there is. Yes, you're trying to bring in cycle lanes. Since 2018, we're in 23 since COVID. If 4 people are using it, how many people are going to use it in another couple of years? The alternative would be, if we are going to go ahead with it, you've got the funding, it might be even cheaper to use it straight down the highway rather than Bolton Road. But you need to meet on site with Raqeeb, the other 2 councillors, and it really needs to be redesigned. I wouldn't be happy to say you're going to get 2-way traffic coming and going from both sides. You're also going to get 2 bike lanes coming and going. Liz Clement, last time I remember, if I'm right, Councillor Raqeeb, she was thinking about reducing it to a single lane. I don't know whether you remember that.
Yeah, this is what I said before, when I think in 2022, when I spoke to, well, then cabinet member was Wasim Zafar. When we spoke to him, the suggestion was with the other officers that the cycle lane would be reduced in width. So it'd still be 2 ways, but the lane would be smaller so that bike lanes could get through, and the road would become wider so that the road cars could drive through. That was the initial suggestion, but I don't know if it's been changed now or has the plans been changed. I don't know.
But I can understand where they are saying that they need the 2 lanes to make it clear for the bikes. That's understandable, and the highway laws and etc. But there it will not work. You will not be able to flow 2-way traffic, especially when you've got the football on and they close off by Morrison's, they close off the highway. So all that traffic gets diverted onto Bolton Road, Jenkins Street. So people use that way to come across. Where are they all going to end up? If you got the 2 bike lanes, you've got parked cars, you've got a wedding or you've got a funeral at the mosque, and you've got a football, no one's going to get anywhere. And especially with the emergency services, you will see that on Garrison Lane as well. They struggle to get through. You know, I would recommend that we all meet again, and go on site and have a look at it. I don't know what you think, and with the other 2 councillors as well.
I think that is a concern because I've seen residents or the football fans or someone coming, they do park sometimes in the lane as well. There's cars in the lanes a lot of times. People are just blocking the lane. The cycle
Not
lane
only
as well.
that, even the bridge going over, they park on that. They use that as additional parking. So you've got that blocking it as well. So it is worth coming out and having another meeting there. That's what I would recommend.
I mean, my understanding is that we have, there has been quite an extensive consultation already on the scheme, and we have listened to some of the concerns that have been raised, and we've tried to sort of amend the scheme accordingly, particularly about reinstating 2-way traffic on Bolton Road. As I say, there is an opportunity when we issued the traffic regulation orders for further consultation.
But that's obviously to do with the traffic management. But you want the project to go ahead because you want to put your tenders out straight away. Have you spoken with the other 2 councillors as well, which cover that ward, part of the Tennyson Road side and the DC4?
I'd need to refer to Lauren because Lauren's been project managing the scheme.
Yeah.
So there has been a full sort of consultation with all the sort of members would have been consulted. Okay, but now that we've got FBC approval, we will again sort of inform all the members that the scheme has been approved.
I think it'd be good if you could inform us of the project and also the residents, because like I was saying before, I think the plan was different. That's the conversation that was sent to residents in 2022, where the lane would be smaller. But if that has changed, then I think we do need to just provide an update to residents just to say that this is what our plan is.
Yeah, and a copy of the plan should be sent and made available for them to give their opinions on it. Because the plans have been changed from what they were originally. And not only that, Tennyson Road, when they originally put them, they took them down. So people still think nothing's going to happen on Tennyson Road. So they need to be all told again. And especially the 2 councillors, Lauren.
This hasn't changed from Tennyson Road. The Tennyson Road is still the same as
I was just going to say, Tennyson Road is just a shared use payment.
Yeah.
That's not much change.
So the payment will be used as a bike lane on Tennyson Road.
It won't change anything.
Yes.
The lane won't change.
Yes. So that was yes, and that was something that was sort of addressed right from the start. In fact, so we wouldn't be going back to something where we've had sort of obviously a lot of pushback from the general public. So Tennyson Road will remain as it is. That's my part.
Okay, does anyone else have any other questions before we let Andy and Laurent go? Or is everything okay? Yeah, thank you, Laurent and Andy, for joining us today for the update. I think it would be a good idea if we could have a further meeting again in the future, just closer to the date, just so we can just inform. We don't have many residents today, so hopefully next time we'll have more residents on Bolton Road, have a special meeting just so they can raise some concerns, or if they have any other issues that they want to ask you about. But thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We also have Jonathan here. Jonathan, did you want to provide any update?
Yes, Councillor. I'd just like to provide an update briefly on what the team's been doing in the area. Currently, West Midlands Police, we are operating on a basis of we've amalgamated both sides of Birmingham. It used to be Birmingham East, Birmingham West. The directive from the chief is now that we are one. we can provide a more reflexive approach to the city and its needs and its ever-changing climate. As well as general response to coastal service around the local area, the team have been getting involved in a couple of things. We conducted a joint operation at a shop last week on the 24th, where we seized a number of nitrous oxide canisters. I think that value has been currently put at about 25 grand. That was based on feedback from the public and the local residents of concerns. I'm aware that's just off the border, but again, that comes back to us working around the local area instead of just being constrained to Bordesley Green. I think that just went over the small heath boundary. In addition to that, we've also been having consultations around Newland Road and the ASB that's been seen around there. We had the community safety. Apologies, we just got a message there, councillor, from Andy. Don't know if you want to respond to that.
Yeah, it's fine, Andy. If you want to leave now, we've finished with that part of the agenda. Thank you.
Sorry, councillor, my typing is the I hit the send button too quick. We're happy to stay, but if it's okay to leave, we'll
No, it's
leave
fine.
you.
Your section of the agenda is completed, so it's
okay.
It's okay if you leave. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, councillor. Apologies, Jonathan, for
no worries.
So, okay.
Care, right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah. So on to the second part. Yeah, we've had a consultation around Newland Road. Like I said, we've spoken to Chris Hamilton, who has proposed a certain amount of measures that we'd be looking at. From the council point of view, they'd be looking at an application for halogen lighting being put in place to increase lighting around the area to reduce ASB. There's also a look at the possibility of having deployable cameras. I believe that's on the basis of 12 weeks at a time. That can be done again to help us investigate any offences that are taking place. We've also raised a concern around the fly tipping and littering around the location. I believe that will be actioned very soon if it hasn't been actioned already. On that side as well, we've engaged with the residents in terms of having a street watch implemented at the area in the location, increasing community engagement in terms of it's in sense taking the street back from ASB and the offenders. So we'll be looking at doing that. Obviously, we're limited on our team at the moment. We haven't got many PCSOs who can go out and start doing those things. But as and when the team are free, they'll be out engaging with the community, seeing who will be involved in that, who wants to be involved, and also looking at West Mid's now sign-ups as well to increase engagement through that avenue as well. Those are the two main updates for myself. Like I said, we are working hard to answer calls for service around the local area, and that will include low-level logs from a neighbourhood basis, and obviously you've got response teams who are responding on an emergency basis as well.
Thank you for the update, Jonathan. Anyone have a question? I think Sajid's got his hand raised. Sajid.
Thank you for that, councillor. Jonathan, just a quickie. Recently, you've just mentioned Newland Road and around there. There was a planning application, and obviously you're not aware, but some of your other officers that used to have a meeting in Bordesley Green at the church.
Yeah.
Now, they had raised, obviously, there is a shop in that vicinity which had concerns. They'd put in for planning, so to extend hours and etc.
Okay.
But what had happened was the police had said, yes, we will help you to get that taken away so they don't apply for it.
Yeah.
When the planning went through, Councillor Raqeeb and other, obviously, Small Heath Forum and everybody else obviously put their complaints and concerns forward. But the police did not object to the planning application. When we've checked the planning application, any other party that had objected, the police have not put anything in. What I would ask is the police to take a role and find out what was the reason for them not to object against it when they knew there was antisocial behaviour going on in that area because of that one premises.
Okay. Okay, so from my understanding of working on other wards and local areas, so what it sounds like is there's been two strands of messaging. What you have is the decision making from local stakeholders in terms of sergeants, inspectors, and then a decision that's held centrally against more legislation and the wider aspects. what I can do is I can raise that with our inspector and look into probing the avenues in what decision was made and who made that decision. Essentially, I will make no promises or false promises here and say we can get it overturned and it will be as simple as that. What we can do is start looking at what rationale was given, and if we can question that rationale and see if we can provide more local intelligence, because ultimately central stakeholders sometimes aren't aware of the context from the local point of view. So what we can do is put that view forward if there is any flaw in the rationale that's been given, and start having that conversation again, so it's not a closed case, so to speak. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that does answer, because the reason is we are obviously, there's other shops that are trading 24 hours, which shouldn't be trading 24 hours. So
Okay.
what they're obviously going to do, when it comes to concern now, they are going to make planning applications to open 24 hours. With this shop, when they did, obviously everybody objected to it, so it got turned down. But what we'd like is help from the police to stop these shops open. They don't need to be open 24 hours. Obviously, with the nitrous oxide now, is going to be obviously, well, it is classed as a different thing, but there's other stuff being sold. So what we want to do is, hopefully, when they put in for the planning applications, get these 24-hour shop turned down.
Yeah.
And we would like the police, obviously, like you just mentioned, you're going to be obviously dealing with antisocial behaviour around Newlands Road and around there. But that was the reason for one of them shops causing that. But obviously, around the other areas, we've got the same issue. So what we'd like is someone obviously locally with the police to say, okay, when a planning application comes through, they could look at it and a local decision could be made from a local point, rather than if it's done nationally or wherever it's done. I'd appreciate it.
Okay. Yeah, I think, like I said, I can't make any false promises and say we're going to change the way the big machine works at this point. But like I said, I can put that forward. I can feed it back into centrally, and hope we can get something, some dialogue started. In the meantime, like I said, we've run an operation recently, taking 25 grand's worth of NOS off the streets. And like you said, mentioned, it's now a controlled drug, so it gives us more powers. We've made a solid partnership through our operation, and we're in regular talks now with trading standards. In the meantime, of obviously concerns about the opening hours, which obviously we have got our hands tied a bit on that one. What we can start doing as well is starting disrupting the ASB and the key factors in these shops and what they deliver. Because ultimately, trading standards enact their powers, and we're there to back them up. Any criminal offences that are seen when we're there, we will deal with. So if there is any sort of dealing of drugs, if it be nitrous oxide or anything more serious, then we can get involved as well. Hopefully that will give you some sort of reassurance in the meantime. And like I said, I'll start the conversation with our inspector of the constituency and see what we can do in terms of getting a rationale to the members of the public.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any other questions for Jonathan? So Jonathan, you covered the Bordesley Green area, is that correct? Is it still the same area, or has that been changed from before?
So through talks, I believe that's again in central consultation with like the SLT in getting that almost recalibrated to matching the council constituencies and stuff. At the moment, it's staying exactly the same. It's just in the wider context. Essentially, where Birmingham East once we ignored city centre and anything western side, i.e., Newtown, Handsworth, Aston, those kind of sides, where our battle borders would have been. Now we have to pay mind to that, and if there's any pressing need operationally, we have to also be included in that loop. It provides an advantage in terms of giving a wider context. We can start putting what's happening on the east into the west and vice versa. But in terms of our constraints, in terms of if you're talking to local neighbourhood teams, you're still talking to the same teams, and their roads and what they affect is the same.
I think a lot of the concern around that area, especially Newland Road and the other roads surrounding, is antisocial behaviour and drug dealing and just the nitrous oxide use. That's the main issues around there, and throughout the area. That's a lot of the issues. So I don't know if have you had any meetings or anything with them in person on the road, or any presence around there? Because I think it would be helpful if officers or someone else could attend, even neighbourhood officers, just to speak to some of the residents, because they have raised a lot of concerns with me.
we're aware of a few of the concerns that are ongoing, and we're aware of logs that are coming in, which are reviewed daily. What it is, we have, like I said, we're currently constrained to a course service, but what we do have is there is some free time in the shift, and officers, as our default patrol pattern, will go around Newland and the surrounding areas to try and provide that presence. I'm aware at the moment that might not feel like it's enough, and there's not many meaningful interactions in that time. We are working on top of demand, and it seems that the numbers are slowly dropping. So what we'd like to see in the coming weeks is that we get more of an interaction going, and more of a time where we can say, not as and when, it will be this time, we'll be down there. If you want to come out and speak to us, we'll be there ready to chat, and we'll have some time dedicated to it. Hopefully that will be a change that we can monitor and have some positive feedback to give the next time this comes around.
I think that would be helpful, because I know other areas and the police forces have like pop-up police station surgeries where the police officers attend and residents can come and raise their concerns. So if that would be possible, I know you're short-staffed, and but well, also schools. We do have a few schools. If you could, I think you visited. I spoke to the previous soldier. He was saying you have visited previous schools. I think it would be great if you could visit some of the schools just to speak to some of the children, especially in relation to knife crime and antisocial behaviour, and especially the nitrous oxide in general.
Yeah, definitely. I agree, and we are in consultation. What we also have to offer from our side is we have schools liaison officers. I'm aware of 2 personally on our ward and constituency who are always available to speak in the schools. A lot of the time that is on a micro level in terms of little issues that have arose during the school time, and it is a case of maybe 1 or 2 students are aware that they're there at the time. What I can put towards them is that we have a bit more of a presence down there, and almost organise assemblies, if anything, where we can give out a general message, and I can offer to them obviously some officers to support in that, because as there are only 2, it could be a case of we need to get more officers in, and if we just ring fence them for about an hour or half an hour, just have an assembly or a little chat, because it's a massive impact if you get to speak to kids in a central location. You get to get a feeling, and ultimately it's a bit like down the lines of what Newland Road is. Sometimes you need that physical presence to get like the vibe and what's happening and get a bit of feedback, because sometimes you won't get engagement, especially if it is through calls and emails and stuff. So what we need to get is down there, and I agree with that. And as and when demand allows and course of service allow, we'll try and get down there.
Yeah, that would be brilliant. I don't think there's any other questions, so thank you for joining us, Jonathan. You're free to leave if you want to now.
Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. So now we'll just move on to the final part of the agenda, local updates. So I don't have much updates in this month. I did provide some residents with updates in relation to visiting the depot. So I have a breakdown on. So I met with managers of the council. We spoke about the litter picking schedule and how often the roads are cleaned. So if anyone wants an update on that or the schedule, I can provide that, just so we can keep up to date and check how often our roads are cleaned. Anything else? I don't have any other updates. So if anyone has any questions, you can ask them now. No questions? Okay, so thank you for joining me today. Sajid.
I'm not going to let you get away. Sorry, Councillor. Okay, obviously you visited the recycling centre, the new. What are the chances of getting bins on our streets? Because as you see, I mean, obviously, obviously Coventry Road is separate to you, but the top end of Coventry Road, Green Lane, Munn Street, where the schools and whatever, you'll see there's a lot of bins that have vanished over time. What will be the chance of getting bins?
Yeah, I have noticed even there's a few bins. There's a bin on Munn Street who has gone by the bus stop. A few other bins around the area have been missing. I have reported some of them. The ones that are missing, if you know other ones on Coventry Road that have started missing, if you could just report them to me as well, so I can raise them with the council, because I know new bins might not be as possible now due to the council's financial situation, but the ones that were already existing there, we can always report them so that it can be replaced.
Okay, when you visited the centre it's in Tyseley, isn't it?
Yeah.
Was there any bins there that were left over from the Olympic Games that are still sitting there?
I didn't see anything, no bins there. I just went inside, so I didn't see anything around there.
There's supposed to be some bins there which they could really use back in the community, which is supposed to be kept at tightly.
Yeah. It was more, that was the people I met with were talking about bins. It was more in relation to the mobile recycling center and the litter picking, because that's what I wanted to schedule on that and how often we cleaned, because I know a lot of people raise concerns that the roads are not cleaned as often. So I have most of our roads are cleaned weekly, unless there's a shortage of staff. So the ones that you find are not cleaned, if you report them to me, I can chase them up on why they're not being cleaned. Yeah, I also wanted to get some of the officers, hopefully in the next meeting, we'll get some police officers to attend the meeting. Or I'm thinking of holding, getting the housing cabinet member Jane Francis to attend a meeting. But if you have any other requests, any other cabinet members or council officers that you want to attend the future meetings, then just let me know. But I think that concludes our meeting today. So thank you for joining me. Hopefully I'll see you again. So take care.
Thank you.
Bye.